South Africa is a land of many challenges, from widespread inequality, political and economic instability, to shockingly high unemployment rates. Specifically, youth unemployment, which sits above 45% according to Stats SA. While the matric pass rate has seen an uptick, it doesn't reflect the high number of students who drop out, often due to poverty, lack of parental support, or the multitude of institutional challenges that plague our nation. Those that do make it through and are able to graduate are not spared either. The education system often fails to equip students with the real-world skills and knowledge needed by the job market, resulting in a mismatch between what graduates can offer and what employers are looking for. With a limited amount of job opportunities, compounded by various structural issues, graduates find it increasingly difficult to compete in the job market. However, all is not lost. We have some incredible people, guardian angels in fact, that work tirelessly to ensure that South Africa and its people can thrive and become the land of opportunity for all those that call her home. Today, I'm in conversation with such a person. Laura Barker is the founder of Black Bark Productions, a company that has been shining a spotlight on young talent across various industries since 2010. Through various programs like the Rising Star Awards and GradStar, Laura has not only identified and celebrated hundreds of talented young South Africans, but also connected them with top employers and mentors, actively shaping the future leaders of our country through a process of empowerment and restoration of dignity. Laura, welcome to InConversation. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me on, Akram.
It's such a pleasure. I mean, the work you do is absolutely incredible, and your passion for South Africans and its youth is truly inspiring. I think let's start off this conversation with who is Laura and what motivated you to start these incredible initiatives?
Okay, so I am clearly from Matterbush. I studied in the UK and began my career in the UK. But I began my career working in institutions that were recognition institutions. We used to recognize, and there was one program particularly that I think has influenced my entire journey going forwards. And that was something called the Women of the Future Awards. I was instrumental in organizing and being part of that. But really, it was a program of its own. We recognized women under 35 who then created an alumni and created a network and went into schools and spoke to learners. And it was a difference and a move away from these standard awards programs, which are just come along once a year, we'll give you a pat on the back and you can go back to your desk. And it was something about this living network that really just enthused me, and the giving back and the ability to create something. So moved forward many years later, I moved to South Africa, Cape Town, very, very happy here. The country's been amazing to me and given me a wealth of opportunities. And I was fortunate enough to be able to start my own program 14 years ago, which began with Rising Star. And I really wanted to have the opportunity to duplicate that energy and that passion that I'd seen in the Women of the Future Awards and the give back. And I think with Rising Star, 10 years later with GradStar, and we're in our third year of School Star, I think we've really been able to create that living community. So I'm really, really blessed in
That is absolutely incredible. And I think, even in my introduction, I spoke about specifically the youth challenges. I mean, South Africa, we have many structural issues, but specifically with the youth and the unemployment rate and perhaps the skills readiness when you get into the workplace and stuff. This is why your programs are so impactful and so meaningful. And you spoke now about your inspiration of getting in the space, but can you unpack a little bit each program specifically? I mean, me personally, I've been involved as a judge, I think in 2019 or 2020 with Rising Star itself. And I saw the value firsthand that it adds and what a difference it makes to be able to uplift people and really, really empower them and give them the spotlight, especially with employers. So perhaps we can start with Rising Star and then move to GradStar and your most recent initiative being School Star. If you can pack each one of those individually and what do they represent and what they're about?
So we launched the Rising Star program as our flagship program 14 years ago. And Rising Star is designed to recognize young professionals in the marketplace between the ages of, in the workplace, sorry, between the ages of 28 and 40 years. And we selected this group of young professionals, these 30-year-olds in the 30s, such a busy space. If you're in your 30s and you're succeeding in the workplace, then your organization certainly knows you're good. They may have you on leadership programs. They may have you fast-tracked in some other program, but also they expect a lot of your time. Like, in order to see them, you need to be online at 5 a.m. You need to work. The amount of times I have people working 16-hour days every day just to ensure that they don't fall behind. It's a lot. Also, there's a lot going on at home. Maybe you have small children. Maybe you're seeking further education, doing an MBA. Maybe you've got aging parents that you also need to give your time to. And so there's a lot of pressure and just work in that space. So we developed Rising Star in order to be able to give a little bit of recognition to those that are managing it and juggling it and not always, or only occasionally dropping a ball or two. And in the 14 years that we've been recognizing talent and recognizing young professionals, we've had the most amazing experience. And I think some of the feedback we've got really demonstrates the boost and the recognition that we are able to give to these young people. Feedback we often get is, my organization put me forward. I always knew they thought I was valuable, but now I've been through the Rising Star process and I've come to a certain level, maybe I got to the finals. I come back and now my organization listens to me. Now I have a voice. Now I've been called into the chairman's office for my opinion. And the difference that has on engagement, work every day, really, really encourages young people to succeed. I think my best example I have of this is we recognized the CEO of TransUnion, Lee Naik. We recognized him when he was working at Accenture in 2015. And now, only less than 10 years later, he's the CEO at TransUnion Africa. And TransUnion Africa are sponsoring the Rising Star Awards as a platinum partner for the next 5 years, or in a 5-year partnership, in order to ensure that we can continue doing what we're doing. And that's spearheaded by Lee because of the impact we had on him when he was recognized. I mean, what better than that?
I mean, of course, that is like the ultimate case study, right? And Lee is like the poster child of Rising Star right now. I was actually going to prompt you with a question of an example and how Rising Star actually impacts young professionals and what difference it made, and that is the perfect example. I mean, you churn out, hundreds and hundreds of these youngsters and these skilled individuals and professionals every single year. But when you have these success stories, and there's many of them, that's when you can see that all of the hard work, that effort, that drive that you put in is actually coming to fruition. It's making a meaningful change. And I think often, Laura, we find that it's not that your initiative is the only initiative. I mean, there's lots of great initiatives in the country. I know loads of people are doing various things, and as well as government, but what impact and what difference is it making in the real world? Are you seeing the results, and are people actually progressing and benefiting from this? And that is what's so impressive about your program, is that you can see it. And it's not just individual development, but even the brands, the employers, the companies that you work with and that you partner with are actually then getting that talent, and they are getting the benefit thereof. They are starting to see it affect their bottom lines, etc. So it's a story that really rounds up everything that is wrong, or the challenges that we experience as a country, in terms of the economic challenges, the employment challenges. We can talk as much as we'd like about the unemployment rates, etc., etc. But there's also a critical need for highly skilled, trained, equipped people within certain industries, and businesses are looking for that. So one is unemployment, one is, do we have enough employable people? And I think through your various programs and initiatives, this is something that you are seriously really driving and pushing forward, and which is impressive.
Yeah, we are. I'm very lucky to have an amazing team who are all absolutely committed to doing what we do. And you're right, when we come to the awards ceremony at the end of the year, to see and firsthand touch these young lives is amazing. And it makes all of the admin in the process worthwhile. But I think impact, GradStar is probably the best example I have. GradStar is in its 10th year this year, so it's our anniversary year. And it recognizes the most thank you. It recognizes the most employable tertiary students across the country. So, and it was also designed with the concept of being more inclusive, of democratizing access to all tertiary students. I mean, if you're a major employer and you go into the career fairs, how many career fairs do you actually go to? 6, 7? Yeah, that's not all the institutions in the country. What if you go to the University of Zululand? What if you attend the University of Mpumalanga? How do you get seen? How do you get a job at one of the top employers if you don't go to UCT or WITS or UJ? It's become such a click that we really wanted to add something where every student, every tertiary student in the land has the chance to shine. So we began GradStar 10 years ago, and we developed relationships with the career centres across the country. And the career centres and the SRCs, and now we work massively with Golden Key, but lots of bursary funds. We work with the Gauteng Department of Education and all of their burses. We've got amazing access to students across the country. Each year, at this time of year, GradStar entries are open right now. We start our marketing and we start our messaging and we communicate to every tertiary student. All you have to do to qualify to enter GradStar is to be a full-time tertiary student registered in this country. We do a series of assessments looking at personal qualities. We don't look at your academics. Lots of people do that. The employers can do that later. We look at intelligence and curiosity and learning agility. And I think that, and others, but I think that lines up exactly with what you were saying before, Akram, about trying to align the needs of the employers with the students. And we're finding more and more often that employers saying, I don't necessarily need a skill, I can teach a skill. What I need is a character base. What I need someone who is willing to learn. I need someone who wants to turn up every day. And so this is what we're trying to identify. We receive between 6,000 and 10,000 applications every year for GradStar, and we take them through an assessment process, culminating in the top 500 initially, well, not culminating, but we reach the top 500, and then when we have the top 500, we provide additional processes, 4 more assessments they have to do to reach the top 100. And if they reach the top 100, I think, Akram, you've also been at one of our GradStar Awards as our keynote speaker, if I remember rightly. We fly the top 100. We fly the top 100 students into Joburg for now what is now a 4-day immersion. It's expanded and expanded and expanded. We now fly them in for 4 days. We take them on an amazing race. The second they land in Joburg, we take their bags off them, split them into teams, and send them on an amazing race around Sandton. Real life problem solving. And the feedback we've got from that is incredible from the students. They say they're also often stuck in a virtual world where they have to do virtual, that this was real, and that they didn't even know they were walking into it. And the last stop's the hotel. And then what we do through this process, we introduce them to America, we introduce them to recruiters, and they have this amazing opportunity to learn and grow, and also, of course, to be presented in front of employers. And the employers are only sponsoring so they can have access to the talent. It's a beautiful. I think what's most significant is year on year, over the 10 years, our reach into institutions has grown. And I think we had applications from 56 different institutions this year, which is just an amazing number. So that's all tertiary institutions across the country, TVET colleges, through to the standard varsities. And in the top 100, we had representations from CPUT to the university to vendor university. It is doing exactly what we tried and set out to do, which is increasing access to, democratizing access to opportunity. I think a great example, and examples last year at the awards, Tiger Brands were looking for somebody, and they met one of our marketing students there. She was educated at Boston City Computing Institution. But in what world ever would Tiger Brands come into contact with a marketing student from Boston City campus? She's now working there. She's doing amazingly. But this is what we're trying to do, to just open that loop and open that world a little bit.
Absolutely. And, and this is what I love so much about it. As you correctly mentioned, I was also a little bit a part of GradStar, but I think for me, it was just experiencing it and being exposed to both Rising Star and GradStar. And the impressive thing about both these programs is it's not just a mechanism to be able to upskill or train, for the lack of a better word, these graduates or these professionals, and then put them front and center and help them in terms of networking and to connect with potential employers, etc. But it's the entire process. I think it is that the journey, and it's sort of a personal growth phase. Even those that don't make it to the top 100, perhaps, I've often found with GradStar specifically that they tend to come again the next year and the next year and the following year, and the nominations, because these people take the learnings from here as well as the mentorship, and there's serious mentorship, because we often tend to forget about what happens behind the scenes. But the judges, the caliber of judges and volunteers that you have as part of this program, the wisdom and the experience that they share is totally invaluable. And I found that your candidates go into the workplace, even if they did not make it as the top 100 or the top 10 or whatever it may be, but they go with a sense of gratitude, growth, and achievement. I have developed to that next level, and I want to go back. You find with various competitions, and because you tend to put in it's in awards, it sounds like a competition. It isn't, in fact. I think it is part of it's a journey, but they're not just going there to show, am I the best? They have this mindset to say, I'm on a journey of improvement and I have gained something, and I want to go back again to ensure that I become even better. And this is what's so amazing about all these programs that you're involved in.
Yeah, I think that's a very accurate synopsis, and particularly, well, both in Rising Star and GradStar, we do get people who enter year on year, and I think one of the best indicators of success is that now our grad stars, some of the original grad stars, are becoming old enough to be eligible for Rising Star. We had 3 finalists last year. We had 3 finalists in 2024 who were former grad stars, and in 2023. One of our grad stars actually won the professional services category in Rising Star. So it's showing that they view this whole program as a development program as well. And it's linked, and it's about boosting them, and it's about guiding them. And when it comes to mentorship, you're right. We have since the days you were a judge, we have now asked that every judge links with one of the finalists in Rising Star and at least calls them to give them feedback on their interview, so at least they can have it. And from this, many long-term mentorship relationships have begun. We don't insist on that, we just ask them that they give feedback. But so often, because of the thought process of both the candidate and the judge, then these amazing relationships begin. In GradStar also, we offer mentoring opportunities. We put the grad stars in teams of 12 and prior to the awards, they're able to connect with a former Rising Star, a former grad star, and a corporate representative who mentor them for 2 months, in the run-up to the awards. And of course, led to many long-term relationships that just continue. And the last point I want to touch on is the gratitude aspect you mentioned. And it was only we so often have Rising Stars and Grad Stars saying, how can I give back? How can I help? What can I do for the program? And it's hard, other than a few mentorship positions and some judging positions, I never really had anything where I can say, this is what we can do. But last year we launched the MPC, the full MPC, with a board, with an amazing board, mainly compiled of former Rising Star judges. But also Rising Star judge process year on year on year, and he want to give back. So the concept of this came to me is that I realized that with 14 years of Rising Star, we've got representatives and the judges and the finalists in almost every organization in the country. There's pretty much, and there are exceptions, obviously. If you mention a corporate, I can tell you if we've got a Rising Star, GradStar, or a judge in there, and quite frequently we do. And these are also not just representatives; these are judges or recognized future leaders. These are amazing people. So I realized the power of this network is strong, and there's not many networks that can feature as many amazing and incredible people as we do. So I launched an initiative to try and pull this network together to assist students, to assist those students in trouble. So we're calling it Movement for Good, actually the Rising Star Movement for Good. And we're reaching out to initially, but what, of course, much further, to our Rising Star network to call on the individual responsibility that we have as leaders, that we have as recognized leaders who are in the workplace, to assist those behind them. And we're looking initially as the first call out, looking at tertiary students who are stuck with food insecurity. The statistics say, and there's very little research, but the statistics say that almost 30% of tertiary students have suffered food insecurity at some point during their tertiary career. And I find that insane. I find that completely nuts. How can we have tertiary students that we are losing because of lack of food, of all things? And also, if you look at the demographic of these students, they're often first in family. They are often the ones who've had to show the most tenacity and grit and resilience in order to get to tertiary in the first place. Are these not our future leaders that we're then losing because they can barely afford to eat bread in their dorm room? And I think it's striking a chord with leaders such as yourself and such as our judges, because everybody's seen it. Maybe we saw it when we were tertiary, but we didn't quite acknowledge it. We didn't see it. But remember that kid that was never really around at lunchtimes, never really around at mealtimes. We didn't see them. We just saw them with a loaf of bread that they bought from the shop. They're there, but we didn't do it. We didn't see it. And I think that's what we're addressing. So our initial call out is that we're asking for donations and pledges of 250 rand a month. And for 250 rand a month on an individual basis, saying we can give a student one hot meal a week from the cafeteria. And yes, one hot meal a week is not going to change the fact that they're in those days. But what it is going to do is restore some dignity. Maybe they can go to that study group this time, the one that takes place in the cafeteria.
You're right.
Maybe. And I was just going to say, my last point is also the day of an exam.
Yeah, sure. It really did strike a chord, Laura, and I think we have so much of these challenges, and yes, you're right. We've witnessed it going through the journey, whether it is the hunger or many of our households in South Africa are single parent households. Abject poverty in most cases. Sometimes these youngsters have to leave schooling to go and find employment to support their siblings and assist in the household, which is all a real sad reality we face on a daily basis. But it tends to be the norm, or it's been happening for so long that we've almost become desensitized. And and that is why this is not something small. It's not just about one meal. It's about making that difference and starting with that one meal. And the fact that you've got all of these programs, what you have painted here is an entire journey. With the NPC, as well as looking at School Star and GradStar and Rising Star, you were touching at every level. And I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm thinking, hundreds of graduates, hundreds of school-going kids, thousands, of course, over the years, the 10, 15 years, depends on which program we're talking about. And then they get into the corporate world and they become these successful professionals and continue connecting. I can only imagine what the STAR programs of the collective alumni looks like in 15 years from now, and where they are positioned and how they would pay it forward, and what a difference and impact this could make to our country. This is absolutely mind-blowing. It's incredible.
That's amazing. It gives me goosebumps to hear you describe my programs like that, because yes, that's our vision. But we operate all of this with 10 people in the office. Many people think we're this big corporate and this big structure, but we're not. Less than 10 of us, we run these programs. And I think when you're talking about those families that are suffering from abject poverty, we need to remember that the students, often if they've won a bursary, and that bursary is lucky enough to include a stipend or living expenses, that bursary goes straight back home. And the student is still struggling because they've got to support their family at home as a student. But I think the most significant program operates in that space is the School Star program. School Star, we are very lucky to be in partnership with the Gauteng Department of Education. And with the support of the department, we're able to access all of those most marginalized schools across the province. When we're able to go out to them, to the educational districts. There's 15 educational districts. We work with the district officials, we work with the principals, and we ask all grade 12s to be able to enter. It's a simple online entry form to be able to enter the School Star Awards. And we're talking, we have to go to these schools, we have to go to these career activations. We're talking about kids that sometimes do not know, they are grade 12s, that do not know where enter is on the keyboard. And how is this possible? But so we go out and we identify potential. This year we had over 3,000. Remember, this is a provincial as opposed to a national initiative at the moment. We had over 3,000 applications from grade 12s in the country, as I said, with a focus on those from the most marginalized and excluded areas. And we take them through a similar process. We close applications in June and produce our top 500 in June, because then we help them apply for tertiary, and we cover their application fees, and we cover consultancy, and we do all the work it takes to make sure they've got all their right documents together, and everything that's involved. So that every member of the top 500 has the opportunity to work with us to apply for tertiary at cost to themselves. At the same time, we take them through a small additional assessment so we can identify who the top 100 are. Then each January, we take it to the district that has the most representation of learners in the top 500. So 2 years ago, we were down in Sedibeng. This year, we were in Joburg East. Who knows where we'll be next year? And again, that's attended by the Department of Education, by the district officials, by principals. It's an amazing event. We bus in all 500. We make sure all 500, again, at our cost, all come to this full-day event. We're sponsored by Gautrain and Nedbank and Standard Bank, who all want to contribute to the development of these young people. And then live at the event, almost Oprah style, we announce the top 100. And each of the top 100 win a full living expense bursary. These kids' lives have changed from January or February, when we go to the school and we ask them to enter the awards, and they look at us like, what is this and why is it for? To the following January, but they've now got a provisional acceptance in their hand, tied to the School Star program, and now a full living expense bursary. And this is a bursary provided by the Department of Education. That's where the partnership is. But it's a bursary that includes a stipend, that includes residence, that includes academic, that includes a laptop, that includes textbooks. It's really there to give them the most amazing boost. And of course, with that, current GradStars already in the tertiary education system, we can link up a buddy system too. And that for me, I think is one of the most amazing programs we run, because it really does give opportunity to those that would never have had it otherwise. But also, it demonstrates that we're a country with promise. We're a country with potential. Unfortunately, this potential is just too often just ignored, not seen. And this is something that we're really trying hard to reach out and develop.
And I think you hit it spot on there. We have massive potential as a country. We tend to focus on the negatives rather than the huge positives. And we have too many good people. And we have a lot. I mean, South Africa is full of amazing people, but who choose to do nothing, unfortunately, in most cases. And it is so admirable. I mean, I'm listening to you speaking about that entire journey and through these events, and I'm picturing a grandmom, or a mother for that matter, that's gone through all of these struggles getting their kid through school, whether through poverty or anything else, and finally seeing them on stage up there succeeding. I mean, that'll just break my heart. I mean, I'll completely lose my mind. I'll be an emotional wreck, sitting there just watching that. But it's something of beauty, and it's so amazing. Even if it's just one individual, you are churning out hundreds over the years. But even if we just make that little bit of a difference, and I think you, Laura, and your team, that have put all this effort in, are really real life guardian angels, and we thank you. But beyond thanking you for your hard work, I think, how do more people get involved? Whether it is corporates, whether it's individuals like myself, whether it is viewers or students, or professionals that would like to be part of your program, whether it is to enter themselves or actually volunteer their time and their experience as mentors, in some way or the other, contribute to this amazing initiative. How do we reach and connect with you, Laura?
Wow, there's many ways. I think the first call out I'm going to do is to help us get this Movement for Good charity, this MPC. We are launching in the next 2 weeks. We'll begin feeding students in the next 2 weeks. And if you go to the Movement for Good, which is movement FOR, not the number 4, movementforgood.org.za, you'll see everything you need to know there about how to pledge. You can pledge live, there's pay fast, there's EFT details, and really help us feed these students. That would be the most incredible thing you can do. If you want to participate as an entrant, then again, all of the, well, actually not quite, Rising Star, you can enter at risingstar.co.za. Very simple website. You can go on, you can see enter here, and then click, it will take you through the process. If you want to nominate someone to be a Rising Star, you also have the opportunity to do that there. If you want to enter GradStar, it's slightly more complicated because we do it through the GradStar app. And we have the GradStar app because, again, that's designed to democratize employment opportunities. We have over 100 employers on the GradStar app who actually search and match with registered students. So even if you don't want to enter the GradStar Awards, register on the GradStar app, which you can download for free from your app stores, because once your details are there, you stand the chance to match with a potential employer. But if you download the GradStar app and register, you will see on your homepage of the app, there's a button that says enter the awards here. You can and then you can go through there. All our awards until the end of April. Schoolstar.com. Go to schoolstar.com, again, you'll see enter here. And if you want to, as a judge or anything else, I think I'm very easy to find on LinkedIn. If you just type Laura Barker Rising Star or Laura Barker GradStar into LinkedIn, I'm going to pop up straight away. And you can just connect with me.
Yeah, and you are quite active on LinkedIn, yeah? So it's
yes,
not going to be too difficult.
I could do better, but I try.
Well, here you have it, guys. For all those that are watching this podcast episode, try and see how you can contribute. Laura has shared all of the details. Every little will make a difference. And if you cannot share your time, if you cannot be able to contribute financially, we understand what the economy is like and the struggles. I mean, everybody has challenges. The least you can do is share this video and this episode of this podcast with friends and family far and wide, so that it can reach more people, and hopefully we can get more South Africans active in really making a difference and generating a larger movement for good. Amazing. Laura Barker, it's been such a pleasure having you on InConversation. And we wish you many, many more years of success. And hopefully we can be able to collaborate even deeper, myself and yourself, going forward. Thank you so much.
That would be amazing. Thank you for inviting us on today, Akram.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.